No other. Welcome to an event like no other. This is the 2020 US AFL Virtual Nationals. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Barrish. Yeah, under normal circumstances, we would all be recovering from the US AFL Nationals in Ontario, California last weekend. Our skin burned and tan and all of that other stuff. Our voices hoarse, memories of hanging out and drinking Coopers, and probably with some medals dangling around our necks and some trophies and a lot of great memories and new friends. And you know what? I would love to have that, but such as it is this year. But you know what? We hope that you have a Cooper's or a beverage of your choice, and we invite you to settle in for the next couple of hours for this virtual celebration of Australian rules football as is held in the United States. We're going to go over some of the great events that we have for you today, but I want to introduce to you the gentleman who will be co-hosting the festivities with me. He's a legend. He really is. 364 games over 17 seasons with the Footscray Football Club, better known to you and me as the Western Bulldogs. A 6-time All-Australian and the owner of the greatest nickname on the face of the planet, the Smiling Assassin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Johnson. Jono, thanks so much for joining us. How you going, mate?
Good to see you, Brian. G'day, everyone. It's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of your Nationals. We would have been there live this year. We had a big trip organised, and the tail end of the trip was to jump down to the Nationals. But unfortunately, due to everything, and we hope everyone's safe and well, unfortunately we couldn't travel. So we have to do it a little bit differently. But hey, it's good. We've all had to be agile and flexible, as they've said throughout the entire year, and that's what we've been. Still got a little bit of agility left. Flexibility is not a strong point of mine. So anyway, Brian, we get on with it. It's absolutely great to be a part of it. Thank you.
We're so glad to have you a part of this and to help support Australian football here in the U.S. I want to get your opinion really quickly. You know, when you think of America and you think of Aussie rules, how, as somebody who's played and been around the game for so long, and I know you said you were going to come to Nationals, but what does that evoke in your mind? The fact that all of these people from across from 10,000 miles away picking up and being passionate about this great sport.
Oh, look, I think it's fantastic. It really is. I've known about it for quite some time, because when I finished playing about probably 10 years ago, but prior to that, I did some stuff with the AFL, and I've been through the International Cup Series and seeing all the countries come together here in Melbourne in particular and play the game. So I've seen it evolve over a number of years, and recently, having been part of the AFL Academy and travelling to the States, and we've been out of Sarasota or Bradenton in terms of the IMG Academy, and seeing the game, we were able to sort of bring the game to, I suppose, that part of the IMG Academy and that part of the States. But seeing the growth from that over the years has been absolutely enormous. Sometimes you talk and it's like, you guys play rugby, like that sort of thing. It's a little bit different. We have to explain things, and we show a bit of YouTube footage, and off we go with some of the discussions to people learning the game. But what the US AFL have done over a long period of time now to grow the game, it's proven how many teams and how many participants, you guys have. So therefore, the growth is great, and it's even good now to see some of the commentators in the States jumping on board and trying to pump up the game, understand the game. And I know everyone loves to see the goal umpire doing this one still, but outside of that, I think people are now broadly understanding the game. And as I said before, more people are playing it. So your competition's getting stronger, and hopefully it will over the years. And hopefully we can see some more people come down under and have a crack at playing AFL footy, which would be enormous, especially on the back of what Mason Cox has done in recent years.
Well, Jono, we've got a great show here, and this virtual Nationals is going to try to capture the essence of the US AFL Nationals. And in a normal Nationals, we have a little bit of everything. We have some excitement. We have some who's who of Aussie rules football, and of course, great competition. A little bit later on, Jono and I will be talking with some of the names that are pretty famous across the AFL men's and women's competition. So you'll want to stick around for that. We'll also have the competition end as USAFL teams from across the country have sent in their efforts to see who will be the fastest man and fastest woman, who can kick the most accurate, men and women. We've got some great of that. It will be interesting to see if Xena Tapaletti of the Sacramento Suns can keep her title, and also will we see a surprise on the men's side as well. And then we have the team fitness competition, everything from push-ups to the 2-kilometer run to how teams can kick and handball the most accurate as well. So you'll want to stick around for that for that competition part. But first of all, we have a really exciting development and a really exciting message from a man who, well, he is essentially one of the patriarchs of the US AFL, and he has come up with a way to help sustain our competition, not only through this challenging year, but going forward. He is the past president of the US AFL, and he's one of the co-founders, Mr. Paul O'Keefe.
G'day everyone, Paul Plugger O'Keefe coming to you from Milwaukee for our first ever USAFL Virtual Nationals. For those that don't know me, I was the founding president of the league and one of the founders along with Rich Mann. Absolutely shattered on so many levels not to have Nationals in person this year. This would have been my 24th Nationals. Mickey Powers and I, shout out to Mickey, have been the only players to have played in every Nationals. I'm going to count this as being involved in Nationals and keeping the streak alive and really looking forward to next year. So many great memories from Nationals. I remember our first couple of Nationals, Rich and I run around as organizers and people would run on the field and ask us what to do about the beer sales while we're playing the game. I remember once in Kansas City we had to delay the start on the Sunday morning because of fog and you couldn't see out of the center square. We had to delay an hour till the fog lifted. In Mason, Ohio, when the Milwaukee Lady Bombers won the flag, and my son kicked more points than me, kicked more total points than me on the field for the old guys. And then in Austin, when Heather, my daughter, was goal umpire for the grand final, was a special moment. To be involved in the sport for so long and see it come from our founding very first Nationals and very first games back in the late 90s, to seeing your kids involved is truly special and one of the great things about the sport. This year has obviously been just a crazy year on so many levels, and it's impacted footy. So today, I'm here to proudly launch the USAFL Foundation. The intent of the foundation is for us to secure our future financially. And I think the situation this year has made it even so much more critical that we create a self-sustaining fund that allows the league to have a more solid financial footing than we have today. We're after pledges today for you to donate money over a period of 3 years through a pledge system that allows us to build this foundation up for our 25th anniversary in 2022. When we're 25, that's a big milestone for the league. And our goal is to raise $1 million over the next 3 to 4 years so that we can have our financial foundation and secure the future of the league. So how do you give? If you go to usafl.com, on the very front, you'll see the USAFL Foundation logo, and you can go and pledge. We're asking people to pledge either $25 a month, $250 a quarter, $2,500 annually, or our top giving level of best and fairest is $25,000. You'll notice there that everything's tied to our 25th anniversary. If enough people give and we can start to build up this foundation over the years, we can deliver over $50,000 to $100,000 a year to the board to make decisions on how to grow this great game of footy. Plus, while we have done a brilliant job as a league in looking after our financials, and so we had an emergency fund that we were able to tap into this year, I think the pandemic has really given us the pause to say we need a bigger emergency fund, and that's what the foundation will be for us. The board will make decisions of how to spend that money to best develop the game. It could be umpires, it could be juniors, it could be the women's game, it could be our national teams. Anything that the board feels will further the development of this great game. When Rich and I started the league, we really were just excited to have a kick. And it grew so much, and now we're just looking forward to how can we make sure that the next 25 years of the league is going to be financially successful. Now, back in '99, we had a special guest who toured the country, Paul Roos, and I'm going to pass over now to Paul, who's going to give a quick update on what he's been doing, talk about his great year of helping launch the league back in '99 and help launch the foundation. For those that don't know Paul, he's a legend of the game, both as a player and as a premiership winning coach, and one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in any walks of life, but particularly with footy. So I really appreciate Paul taking time out today. And Paul, over to you, Roosie.
Well, for those of you who don't know, my first coaching experience was with the American Revolution back in 1999. And at the time when Paul O'Keefe rang me when I was in America with my wife and spending 10 months over there, I had no idea that the United States Australian Football League existed. We had a great conversation, and certainly it was a really, really impactful year, not only from a coaching point of view, but from a life point of view. I remember going around and we did a number of clinics all the way around America. New York was one of my favourites. I think they hired 3 baseball fields just off Manhattan, and I still remember a little convertible coming in with the plastic goal posts tucked through the roof, and I coached both teams. I umpired the game, and then afterwards we had a good old-fashioned Aussie barbecue. So if you ever want to get a win as a coach, let me suggest that coaching both teams and umpiring is a really good way to get your first win. I remember going to Denver. We did an umpires clinic in Denver, and I actually played a game of football, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was just fantastic. The locals were great, and I had a fantastic experience. And then it led to me being asked to coach the American Revolution against Canada in Chicago, and seriously, it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I remember the captain, Darren, sent me a letter afterwards and just said how much it meant to him playing for America, winning the game, and it was really emotional for him. And I realised what it meant to everyone to play that game and to be the coach of that particular team and to play against Canada and play in Chicago was just, an incredible experience. And some of the players that played that day, honestly, if they had started, particularly some of the Americans, if they had started, when I did, at 7 or 8 years of age, I've got no doubt that a couple of them could have played in the AFL. And I think our captain that day was Rich Mann, who tells me he was best on ground, and he's still got the ball to prove it. But he was a very, very good player, and we had a number of expat Aussies and a lot of Americans, and we had an incredible time. But as you could well gather, I believe in the US AFL and believe in Paul O'Keefe and Rich Mann and all the guys that are now creating this foundation. And, we've got to sustain the competition for the next 25 years. So I really encourage you to pledge to the foundation, give what you can. I know you can do it on a monthly, yearly basis. And I'll certainly be contemplating and putting some money into the US AFL. It's, as I said, it was a really important start to my coaching career, but being married to an American and being an Australian coming over here and doing those clinics was just amazing. Seeing the passion of the Americans embraced the sport and the Australians helping the Americans was really good. So really implore you to get behind the foundation. Let's continue to support the US AFL. As I said, it's an incredible experience in my life, and one that I'll never ever forget. Certainly all the experience I've had, but more importantly, coaching the boys against Canada. It was my first victory as a coach. So let's get behind Rich Mann and Paul O'Keefe, and let's get this thing going, and let's try and get $1 million over the next, I think it is 3 years before the anniversary.
Thanks, Druzy. That was fantastic. Really appreciate taking your time out of your busy schedule to help us launch the foundation. Now, talking about favourite nationals ever, I want to go over to my ball collection here and pull out the famous cheese bowl from the 2005 Nationals in Milwaukee. This was the last Nationals that was run by a club. After that, the Nationals actually got too big Milwaukee was also a great nationals because not only did we have 3 men's divisions for the first time, we also had our women's division. So it was really a watershed for the league that we had outgrown what our current strategy at the time of having clubs run nationals, and then the league took over running nationals after that. In the last couple of years, we've also added regionals under Doran's leadership, so there's more competition for everyone to play. And that's part of the development we've seen on the field of the league. So, in terms of the foundation, we've got 4 different levels that we're promoting, tied to our 25th anniversary, I said before. So the Specky Giver is $25 a month over the next 3 years. A blinder, and for those that don't know, a blinder is when you have just a fantastic game, is $250 a quarter for the next 3 years. Our next giving level is BOG, or Best on Ground, which is $2,500 annually for 3 years. And our top level giver is Best and Fairest. That's the goes to the player in Australia that is the best and fairest over the entire season, is for $25,000 or more as our best and fairest level givers. So what I'd like to do today on behalf of the Milwaukee Bombers, since it's 15 years since our nationals in Milwaukee, is to match 2 BOG givers. So if someone pledges today to be a BOG giver of $2,500 a year, I'll match that first year for 2 and donate an additional $5,000 to the pot. Already today, prior to our launch, we've already raised $60,000 in pledges to make this foundation a reality. I hope that you're able to give back, particularly to our alumni who have played the game for many years. This is your chance to give back to that sport that's given so many great experiences to secure our future. And I think particularly this weekend where we're doing virtual nationals and we can't be out on the field, it just makes you want to get out there and play so much more. I think that's the feeling that we want to bottle up and help with the foundation. So once again, I'm excited to launch the foundation. I want to thank Ruzi. Thanks those that have already pledged up to $60,000. And I would really hope that you're able to help pledge and get us started on the next journey of our next 25 years. Thanks, guys.
There was a lot of speed in that montage, all part of the first event of the 2020 US AFL Virtual Nationals, the 100-meter dash. The rules are simple. Run as fast as you can for 100 meters and try and do it faster than everybody else. We'll have prizes for the top 3, and we'll see how they compare against these two. Usain Bolt, the men's record holder, 9.58, and the great Florence Griffith Joyner, who set the record of 10.49 back in 1988. Well, I can tell you that these two had nothing to worry about, but that didn't stop some pretty big numbers, or pretty small numbers as the case may be, from being put up by the men and women of the US AFL. Here are the top 9 finishers in the women's division, starting with the young woman who won the longest kick competition at Nationals last year, Jenna Taipoletti, who came in at 17.01. Just ahead of her was Katya Miller of the Texas Heat with a time of 16.9. Caroline Sequeira of the Sacramento Lady Suns posted a time of 15.04 to come in 7th. Then 3 members of the Minnesota Freeze. Kaya Segula came in with 14.93. Grace Cooper just ahead of her at 14.28. And then Connor Lewis at 13.72. In the chips from the Philadelphia Hawks is 12.4 time of Leslie Gartner, and we'll be excited to see her hopefully play for the Freedom in 2021. Megan Sullivan of the DC Eagles came just short of first place with a time of 12.28, and the only person better on the women's side was her teammate Miriam Meter, besting Sullivan by just 1/100th of a second. Congratulations, Miriam. You are the fastest woman in the USAFL in 2020. Now we head to the men, and we had a total of 14 entries. Here are the top 10. Well, in fact, we had a tie for 9th. Carrie Nolan of the Houston Lone Stars and his cross-state rival Daniel Brown, 14.5 to finish in a tie for 9th. In 8th place was another Austin Crow, Ty Loxton, at a time of 14.2. The first of 3 Sacramento Suns, John Thomas Lloyd, came in 7th with 14.09. Fasundo Lay, 13.9, came in 6th. The man they call Rabbit, 13.85 time for Kendall Hutchings. And as fast as rabbits are, there were 4 men that were faster than him in this competition. Number 4 was Alex Van Bemmelen of the Houston Lone Stars with a pretty good time of 13.34. Daniel Garcia, another Lone Star, came in 3rd with a time of 13 seconds flat. Just ahead of him was Luke Durkin of the Denver Bulldogs at a time of 12.9. When you think of speedsters, you think of, relatively short, small, wiry men, and that is not who won this. John Newton, the man they call Stretch from the Boston Demons with a time of 12.24, is the fastest man in the USAFL in 2020. Congratulations, John. We'll be back a little bit later with the second event, the kicking accuracy, in just a little bit. Now for the AFL men's panel, in addition to Jono, I have 3 gentlemen who are pretty well-known household names, if you will, in the world of Australian rules football, at least in Australia. The first of which, we begin with a gentleman who has played 322 games at first grade level, most of them with the St.Kilda Football Club, also with the North Melbourne Kangaroos. He is a 3-time All-Australian selection, Mr. Nick Dal Santo. Nick, good day to you, sir.
Very good day to you too. Lovely to be here and doing something just a little bit different because, as you know, Victoria's in complete shutdown. So we haven't seen anybody face to face for a very long time. This is about as good as we can get. So I am excited to see you too.
Likewise, as always, mate. Good to be chatting footy with you. Also great to be chatting footy with a bloke who is a teammate of yours for a short time. He has played more VFL AFL games than anybody else on the entire planet. 432 games with the North Melbourne Football Club. He won a premiership in 1999, a 4-time All-Australian, and enough honors to fill a small keg, if you will. The man they call Boomer, Brent Harvey. Brent, thanks for joining us.
No worries, Brian. Thank you very much for having me. And like Dal, we haven't seen too many people over here in Victoria, so it is pretty exciting to chat with the boys and see a couple of ex-teammates. Played with Jono as well, and Dermy coached me over in Ireland in 2000, which was a very, very good trip. I'm sure we can chat a little bit more about that a little bit later on.
Absolutely. We'll be chatting about a whole bunch of stuff. And you mentioned a guy by the name of Dermy. 211 games, mostly with the Hawthorn Football Club, a Hawk such as myself, 5 premierships, an All-Australian selection, and a bit of a cult hero, not only in the Australian realm, but also here in the USAFL realm. And we'll get into that a little bit. Mr. Dermott Brereton. Dermy, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Brian. How are you? Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me on here. if I get walked in and marched out by police officers in the next 15 minutes, because I went for a walk yesterday and I went 5.1 kilometres away from home, which is 100 metres too far illegally, apparently, according to our state premier. So, yeah, I could get arrested at any moment, but we'll make the best of it. And I actually feel quite insignificant. But hearing that, I played 211 games. Boomer's played 420 something? 400.
Yeah, 432, Derm. I doubled you, but you've got about 15 more premierships than me, so it doesn't matter.
Double though.
I think I'd rather your resume than mine, trust me.
Dal's a lightweight. He's only played 300 plus, and John has played 380 or whatever it is. I really don't know how you blokes did it. Maybe you didn't go in. What about that?
And we got Dal 7 premierships between us. So we're going.
Yeah. They all add up.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I only played 61 in the US AFL, so by far I'm the most lightweight of the lot of us. So, hey, Dermy, I want to ask you before we start underway. We're of course doing this event in commemoration of the US AFL Nationals, which was supposed to be last weekend, and obviously we're not all together with that. But of the whole of us, besides me, of course, you're the only one here to have attended a US AFL Nationals Carnival. You were there with us in Sarasota, Brereton in 2016. Tell us about the experience of having grown up with the game, having played it for your entire adult life, flying all the way to the other side of the world and seeing this lot of foreigners play the game of Australian rules football in such a big carnival.
Well, it was a wonderful experience. I went along with one of my the Hawthorn Premiership teammates, Chris Whitman, and we decided to go over there and make a around the world trip of it, a bit of a holiday, and we learned about 6 months out that the carnival was on. So we said, let's incorporate that. Let's do that. That sounds like wonderful fun. Went along there and was so pleasantly surprised at the absolute volume of teams, people, participants, all the coordination that went into it. It was a huge, huge event. Was pleasantly surprised also at the standard, and it was wonderful just to see football in its purest form. People turning up to play the football just because it existed. I was really wrapped with our excursion, and the hospitality that was shown to Whitty, Chris, and myself was fantastic. You guys really were quite the host. So, we often speak about it. And in actual fact, about 6 months ago, Chris Whitman and we actually said, let's coordinate a trip to go to the States again. I think, was it meant to be in LA this year? Or I think
in Ontario, California, in Southern California,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we planned to do that, and almost within hours after we said, let's do that, we went into lockdown around March. And so that idea has been exterminated some months ago. But if I was able to do so, I would love to go and do it again sometime in the future. It really was an experience. It was fantastic, in fact.
And Dermy, I think the key into all of this is the nightlife in Sarasota. Dal and Boomer and I have also experienced the nightlife in Sarasota. It's not a bad place to go and watch the footy and get out and about and mix with the locals as well.
We visited the hamburger bar down in Sarasota. The thing I noticed about the nightlife there, it was a real pub culture. The bars and pubs, and there's sports bars literally, and they have the TV up in the corner, and you're watching football, and then in actual fact, when we were there last time, there was all the three debates were on between Hillary and Donald Trump. So in my upstairs in my bedroom, I've got all this paraphernalia from the 2016 election. So it was a very interesting time.
Dermy, I'm going to really quickly before we move on, I want to ask you this. I have been told by a certain team from Texas that not only were you there to watch the football, but you also did some arm wrestling officiating in the process. There was an arm wrestling comp that you were officiating as well for the Houston Lone Stars.
We saw the boys get into it, yes. So it was funny because when you get, everyone was having a go, and some of the blokes had arms that long, and some of them had, Mason Cox's brothers got arms that long, and so I'd have to put my fist down like that below one bloke, and he'd put his elbow on it, and we give him a bit of a boost up, and they were great fun, really good guys, and they worked it up, and they had a really good win as well that carnival.
Dermy, if you were to get Dal and Boomer, Boomer's got some of the best biceps I've ever seen in my life. Who would win? Who would win between Dal and Boomer in an arm wrestle?
Well, Boomer is put together, isn't he? And Dal's a thinking man's football. He's a lover.
That's a nice way to put it, Derm. I've seen Boomer, and for those that haven't seen him on social media, tune in because this man is still working out of his home gym. Boom, I've said this publicly and I'll say it on this forum as well. You should still be playing for the Kangas.
I appreciate that. I don't know how big this is going to go, so I don't want to say too much, but I can honestly say I'll get a game before a few of them at the minute. Yes.
You know what? They could certainly use the help.
Well, unfortunately for the Kangas this year, we did struggle, finishing second last on the ladder, and I think we won our first 2 games in before the lockdown and won 1 out of the next 16. So we did struggle with the lockdown, and it wasn't a great year. We did have a lot of injuries, but saying that, excuses are not good, and we don't like using them at North Melbourne. So hopefully we can bounce back a little bit better than 2020 anyway.
Boomer, I want to ask you this question, and Nick, I'll ask you the same thing as well. You're listening to an American talk about Aussie rules, and Dermy's been talking about this carnival that we have every year. I want to get your thoughts about the expansion of the game overseas and whatnot. When you see and hear about Americans sinking their teeth into the game, I want to know what you think about all of that.
Yeah, I love it. I think our game is unique and it's Australian, and we all understand that. And we explore the planet and try to bring over Irishmen and Americans, and not a lot of them have worked. The experiment's not huge. I mean, Jimmy Steins is probably the best Dermy, maybe to really look at it. Who's that?
Sean White, Jimmy Steins, and probably what's his name at Geelong now from Port Leash?
Tui. Zach Tui.
Yeah, Zach Tui. Yeah, they're probably the 3 best.
Yeah, so the percentages say that it's not, the best thing to go and grab different international sportsmen and bring them over, because it doesn't really work. But the concept of 1 or 2 playing in our league is unbelievable. And Dermy hit the nail on the head before when he said he just went and watched sport where it's getting played at its purest, and that's what's out of our game at the minute. There's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of trading involved, and all that sort of stuff. And that really, I don't really love that part of it. I love just football. I love people just going out and play. We overcoach. We overcoach our game. We don't let our stars just be stars and have shots from the boundary and do all that sort of stuff. We coach them to an inch of their life and make them do absolutely everything, and they have to defend like their life depends on it, and that takes away a little bit of their flair. So like Dermy said, I would love to go and watch Australian rules football in China, in America, in Fiji, wherever it is, just to watch people just play the game again. I think that's the biggest part.
And just off the back of that, and that's a good summary, Boom. And we've been fortunate, Boomer and I have been on a couple of camps to America. So it's not unusual for teams to go on pre-season camps. And I've been really fortunate. I've been to England, South Africa. We've been to America a handful of times, New Zealand. I love how curious people become of our game. And yes, it is really unique. And that is obviously why, I guess in some ways, it's still difficult for us to understand a lot of the rules as the game's going on. We have such different opinions on what we're seeing at that moment. But my experiences are either holidaying or going on a training camp in America is just the interest in the game. And I actually was in Miami on an end-of-season trip. It wasn't training. And it was just off the back of one of these carnivals. I think it was 2014 from memory. And one of the guys that I caught up with in Miami who'd come from the carnival the week before, and we were laying by the pool and we'd had quite a few drinks. He rocked up in a sling. He'd actually just done his shoulder and ended up needing surgery. But he'd just come from your carnival. And he's an Australian. He was just raving about it. Just could not speak highly enough. This is a guy that's grown up in Melbourne, played all his junior football, and then ultimately went on to play AFL in Australia. But he's raving about a carnival on the other side of the world that, as he touched on, just its most purest form, was there because he loves playing football everyone was there because they just wanted to have a good time. So it's both the activity being AFL football, but also the social aspect of it. And I reckon off the back of what Boom said, that's sometimes the thing that we miss still in professional footy. There's so much money and time put into it. But that's what resonates with me, just the interest and the love of a sport, which you guys haven't naturally grown up with, but have just taken it on board.
Can I just say on the back of that, you know how you get football teams that have their own little catch cries, and we see Jono, we see the doggies, and although it infuriates me, it's their own little thing. When they sing their team song, after every second word, they go, woo, you know, that type of thing. Each team has their own little catch cries, their own little elbow areas they lean on. In that carnival, we went and watched so many games. Well, probably would have watched 24 games. And we watched some of the ladies' games as well, who were pretty good. But one of the funniest moments was to watch the New York ladies team. And they have their own little catch cries. And it's a New York catch cry as well. And they, won a few games, and they would sing their theme song, and at the end of it, win, lose or draw, all of the girls en masse would go da 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 da. Forget about it. So you've heard that as well,
Dermy. I think I actually have pictures from that year of them holding up banners that say "Forget about it."
Oh, it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was just so New York. It really did. We sat there and we watched them singing their song like we watched other people to see how they celebrate, whether it had an Australian culture to it. It kind of did, but it had New York culture to it as well. The layers of it was fantastic. And yeah, we went, forget about it. It was beautiful.
Go ahead, Jono.
All right, well, boys, let's drill down. We've got through the year. Boomer, first I'd like to get just your thoughts, Boomer, on the year. It's been a big year with COVID and everything, and the fact that the AFL had to shift the competition mainly up to Queensland and then around the country. It's been a pretty good effort to get through a season to this point.
Yeah, it has, Jono. And the first I actually heard about it, I was the runner for North Melbourne in the first two games, and I was sitting on the bench waiting for Reece to give me a message to run out against St Kilda at Etihad Stadium in round 2. I think it was round 2, and Heath O'Loughlin, our media manager, was sitting behind us, and it was halfway through the third quarter, and he said, "There's going to be no more football after our game." After I think it was a Sunday afternoon game. And I turned around and I said, "Heath, that's a really big call." And he said, "Mate, I'm telling you what's happening. It's just coming through all these airwaves now." And I said, "Mate, they're not going to stop AFL football. So anything that can stop AFL football is pretty bloody big in Melbourne." And it did do that. So, John, it's been a massive year for the AFL to rebound and do what they have done. Has been a huge effort. I don't think people realise the effort that the players and their families and the strain it has put on them as well. And it sounds good. They've gone away to Brisbane and they're in hotels, but some of these players didn't see their families for 80 days. Not only players, but staff to make the football teams run. It's been a huge effort, not only by the AFL, but everybody involved. And they should be commended because it's a really good effort. And you know what? It's been really, really hard. And Dal, this is why I've been in the gym every day, because I've got nothing else to do. But I'm running, going to the gym and watching a lot of football. And if there wasn't a lot of football in there, I'd have to find another hobby to fill that other 6 or 7 hours during the week. So it's been amazing for me, who I didn't get to experience the hub and go away with North Melbourne. But if I've enjoyed it, I'm sure there's so many other Melburnians or Australians sitting back and thanking that the AFL did go ahead this year.
Well, it's been great to chat. Derm, first, I want to see, how are you travelling, Derm? You've had that many operations recently. You've played a lot of footy. You got battered around a fair bit, but how you tracking, mate?
I'm all right at the moment. Like the boys and Boomer said, we've decked out the gym downstairs, and I've done more gym work in the last 4 months than I have in the previous 14 years. So my back's getting better. It's a little bit slow to come on, but today, as we know here, what have we got? 22 degrees here today, Celsius. It's a bit overcast now, but I might get on the surfboard and paddle out onto the bay for a little bit of fitness as well. It's a bit cold still in the bay, but we'll have a bit of fun with that. So we're going all right, Bradley. We'll have to get you up and surfing at some stage too.
Yeah, sounds good, Brian. Well, mate, I'll throw it back to you, Brian. The boys have done well there, and it's good to see. Hopefully, Dermy's getting his body right so he can hit the Nationals in the next 12 months and maybe hit the field. Just to finish up then, boys, from our part here, we need to go into the following week, and I need your tips, Dal. I'll start with you up the top. I need your Premier, your Norm Smith medalist, and your Brownlow medalist, which will happen in grand final week as well. So go the three.
I'll start with the Brownlow because I think that's probably the easiest of those questions. I can't see Lachie Neale not winning it this year. I mean, if he didn't have it wrapped up by about round 14, 15 this year, his last couple of games, I think, tip him over the edge. So Lachie Neale for the Brownlow. Oh, I'd like to see a Port-Brisbane grand final. So the winner out of those two teams will be... Geez, let's jump on the Brisbane bandwagon. I mean, as Derm said before, if you think that you honestly know the answer and you think that you can add stats and some reasonable justification to this, I think you're lying. I'm with Derm on that. So I'm hoping that it's the Brisbane Lions because it's so hard to pick. Let's say the Brisbane Lions win the whole thing and I'll mix it up. So Lachie Neale's already won the Brownlow. I'm going to say McCluggage wins the Norm Smith off the wing.
Nice work. Boomer, give us your three.
I'll go with Port Power to win the premiership. Dal is 100% right around Lachie Neale. If he doesn't win the Brownlow, they should have a look at how the system actually works. He's been the best player in the competition by an absolute mile.
Can Travis Boak challenge him, Boomer? Honestly, can Travis Boak, is he a realistic chance to win the Brownlow?
Well, Port have won enough games. The history says that you're going to have to finish in the top, fair, unless you're Gary Ablett playing for the Suns or something like that. You're going to have to finish top four to win enough games to win the Brownlow. I think he can. He's had an exceptional year, but when I look back at it, Lachie Neale is just phenomenal. I love watching him play. He's only a little fella, wins his own football, gets on the outside, kicks goals. I just love watching him play. So it's Lachie Neale for me. Boak, who knows the way the umpires vote. The year I come second, clearly I should have won it, Jono. So they got rocks in their heads, those umpires.
And you know Smith, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Travis Boak. I think he'll have a really big impact if they win the flag.
All right, Derm. What do you got for us? Who are your three?
Yeah, Lachie Neale, he wins it. But having said that, it's an umpires award, so we don't really place that much credence in it. Yeah, you know what? It could. I think Richmond get through to the grand final, and I think they could. I don't know if Brisbane are good enough to beat them 2 times in 28 days. Probably Richmond to win.
Don't say it.
To win the Brownlow and Lachie Neale to win the Norm Smith medal in a losing team with 35 touches.
I thought you were going to go Dusty again for the Norm Smith. I said surely not.
That's the safest bet.
Yes, it is. That's good money.
I'm going for Lachie Neale, the Cats. I reckon Gary Ablett Jr. retires with the Norm Smith around his neck.
You know who butters your bread. That's your problem.
Yeah, exactly right. I'll throw it back to you, Brian. The boys have done well there, and it's good to see. Hopefully, Dermy's getting his body right so he can hit the Nationals in the next 12 months and maybe hit the field.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'd love to see him. And, Jono, I want to thank you for not coming to me for a tip because in round 1, I went 0 for 4. And I've got Richmond beating Geelong in the grand final, which invariably means it'll be Port and the Lions. But, boys, I want to wrap us up with one last question here. Mason Cox, of course, he has, either love him or hate him, he has really made his name for himself, and he's been such a great story, as an American who's only even known about the game for the last 5 or 6 years. I want to get your thoughts on him and about, Americans like him, or even just Americans coming through the American structure here and possibly playing in the AFL. And I don't care who starts.
I'll kick off. I think it's been great for the game. It really has. We spoke a little bit about it earlier as well. But even with what Mason's done, it's attracted attention from other media outlets. And there's some stars in the media and some NFL players and ex-other players as well in different sports that are jumping on board and trying to find out a bit more about the game on social media in particular. So I think it's been great, the fact that, he's been able to play some pretty good footy over his career so far. But he's got a bit of a strut about him too, which I think we all like, and he brings that to the game. And I think it's been good for the coverage that's come on the back of Mason being a part of our competition.
Yeah, I'll go. I think he knows when to play a good game. I tell you, the other year when he took in, I think it was the prelim, wasn't it, against Richmond?
Yeah.
I was at that game, and it was absolutely phenomenal. He couldn't do anything right. The game plan was to kick it 10 metres in front of him and him run and launch, and no one could stop him. And then the other night, previous week, he kicked 3 goals in 15 minutes, obviously, in that first quarter, and he looked fantastic again. I love seeing it because it's different. He has got that strut. We all know that's probably an American thing. That's, they play a bit more with flair in their sport. But I love seeing it. I mentioned before that there's not too many international stars that can come in and impact. He hasn't impacted consistently, but when he impacts, he really impacts. And I like watching that. And like Jono said, attracts interest from other countries. And I think that's fantastic for our game.
And Dal, you were playing, I think he was coming in just as you had moved on to North, Jason Holmes as well, who was the first American to play in the AFL, the first American born and raised player.
Yeah, I actually bumped into him, going back a month or so in the park around the corner. He was wearing his Raiders jersey off the back of his brother, playing there for a little while. I did miss him in regards to playing with him, but I've seen him in cross paths with him for a little while. It's similar to what the boys mentioned about Mason Cox. Now, the easy bit for Mason Cox is for us because we see him on the weekends, and you guys can obviously watch him on TV or follow him on social media. But Holmesy was similar. it was so different because this game's tried to go to New Zealand, obviously tried to go to Ireland, but all of a sudden you've got 6'5", 7 foot guys that are coming over. And the bit that still fascinates me, I guess, to some degree is, and I love American basketball, is how agile they are. Now, obviously, the skill component was the difficult part, but their physical ability is like nothing, like we rarely have here. You might have a Nick Nat and Nui, maybe a handful of others, but this is just their bread and butter. So, and the other bit, ripping blokes within your football club. And I reckon that's the one bit that we sometimes forget because we judge them purely on their 2 hours on the weekend. But in regards to football people and culture and quality and enjoyment around the four walls of your footy club, awesome people. Just that bravado and just that, just walking around, everything's really casual and cool, and it just gives it a really nice vibe. And I know that's a lot of what the Saints boys said about Holmesy in particular.
Yeah, for me, I've been a fan of Mason's all the way through. There's been times, when he hasn't touched the footy, he's been in a bit of a downer and the likes, and I've sort of, and people, we ask amongst each other in the media, say, are you in his corner or whatever? I've always been in his corner, and the reason being is God doesn't make many 7 foot human beings, and he happens to be one. And it is a physical trait, a physical capability that very few other people can deal with if he starts to get it right. So on one hand, the disadvantage to the American lads is they don't grow up totally playing Australian rules football. The advantage they have is that they've got a population of 330 plus million people, and you're going to throw up some physical freaks that are going to be blessed in any sport that they play. Mason happens to be one of those. And it's funny as it is, every time I see Mason, I just say, kick the kick, mate. You haven't kicked the kick. Because as weird as it sounds, the ball travelling 50 metres through the air to you, learning and reading where that ball is going to drop and the pace it comes down, seeing it leave the boot, the pace it leaves the boot, where it makes the apex, and then working out from there where it's going to drop to. That is something that takes 10,000 kicks from kick to kick out on the road as a kid. Roughly 10,000 times you've got to stand underneath that to be able to predict that, really, really accurately. Mason hasn't had that, but he's starting to get better at it. And once he does get proficient at that, I don't know too many people are going to stop a 7 foot tall man with arms that are another 1.5 meters in length going up above his head. It's it's an extraordinary proposal out on the ground to try and deal with. So I'm a fan of Mason Cox's, and besides that, I agree with the boys. He's just a genuinely nice, really, really good citizen. He's a very high quality fellow as well. So he's highly intelligent. I'll just give you the last little story. Ben Dixon walked up to him out on the ground once and before a game, and he said, "G'day Mason, how you going? How's your kicking going?" It was one of the few times where he hadn't been kicking all that well. And he said, "Oh yeah, all right, you got any tips for me, Dicko?" And Dicko said, "How technical do you want it?" And Mason, with that, as Boomer was saying, that bravado of the States, Mason turned around and said, "Technical, mate, I'm an aeronautical engineer. I can pull apart a 747 and put it back together, make it as technical as you want."
I think that's a great place to end. Boys, listen.
I've got one more.
Go ahead, Jono.
The best place to end is Boomer and I are the shuffleboard champions of Santa Monica. Now, I don't know if there's anyone out there that's any can beat Boomer and I, but when we get over the States together again, I think we've got to throw that challenge out to the faithful because we were undefeated in Santa Monica over about a 3-night period. So look out. We are elite when it comes to the shuffleboard.
You know what? Go ahead.
I'm not sure if we can play when we're sober, though, Jono. I hope we can.
Well, there will be plenty of Coopers on order whenever we are. Boys, listen, thank you so much for being a part of this celebration of Australian football here in the USA. It means a lot to us. We're big fans of you, and all the best as we go through the rest of this year, whatever the heck it brings us, and going and forward in the future.
No worries. Great work, Brian.
Same to you guys.
G'day everybody, Rich Mann here. Firstly, I want to thank Plugger for being one of the driving forces behind forming this US AFL Foundation, and then obviously also being one of the big forces between founding US Footy along with myself and lots of other people, too numerous to mention. We do have to trace back to our meeting behind the barn in Indiana at the 97 Nationals, long time ago. Also to Ruzi, obviously one of our first coaches of the Revolution. And as you can see here, Ruzi, I still actually do have my footy and very well signed by yourself. Fading a little bit, obviously, with the age. Wanted to just really actually, from my perspective, put a little bit of hopefully pressure and encouragement onto the Revolution and all the alumni. I've got a couple of footies here from the Revos, as you can see, and then a lot of the national stuff as well. But as Ruzi had mentioned, I think one of the big things is really just all the experiences that everyone would have had. I can still remember going to London for the Atlantic Alliance Cup, all of the trips and everything that we've had against the Canadian team, and then obviously all of the international cups as well. I was honoured enough to receive an AFL award when we were at the 2011 International Cup. And as I said during that acceptance speech, I think everyone in that fraternity are really all family, and we can always catch up for a beer at any point, anywhere in the world. So I would really encourage everyone to get on board, support the foundation. I do want to, like I said, put a special challenge out there to the alumni, not only the Revolution, but also the Freedom, all our senior players and coaches and retired administrators. Let's all get on board and really take us into the next decade. So thanks from me, and we will hopefully see you at Nationals on the ground in 2021.
The name of the game is football, and that means that kicking is very important. Not just how far you can kick it, but how straight you can as well. And that's what this event is all about. Event number 2 in the Virtual Nationals is the Kicking Accuracy Challenge. Each player will get 3 boots of the football. Points will be taken off for how far the ball is offline, but the idea is to kick it as far and as straight as possible. Each player's 3 kicks will be combined, and whoever has the combined furthest distance will be crowned the champion. The question will be on the men's side, can Carrie Nolan from the Houston Lone Stars make up for losing out in the tiebreaker to Daniel Dahlquist of Golden Gate last year? And can Sacramento's Xena Ambassador repeat, as she kicked 50 yards last year to take out the women's title in Sarasota? Well, we'll answer that first question first. Let's see how the women did. Here are the top 7 competitors. Beginning with the Texas Heat's Katya Miller, who had a combined score of 39 meters. Erin Schaefer-Graham of the Sacramento Lady Suns came in 6th with 68.3. Her teammate Caroline Sequeira came in 5th place with a mark of 76 meters. Ahead of her, Kaya Saigola, 81.7 meters from the Minnesota Freeze. Now on to the top 3. Emma Patmore of the Texas Heat, known for her strong foot, comes in 3rd place with 93 meters. Just ahead of her, Connor Lewis, an great all-around athlete. We'll see her a little bit later on as well. 98.2. She is runner-up, and that means, of course, there's only one person left, and that is Xena Ambassador of the Sacramento Lady Suns, 108.6, including her first kick, which was 41.8 meters. That's about 45 yards. Not as strong as last year, but enough to take out the Kicking Accuracy Challenge. Congratulations, Xena. Now we head to the men's side. Here are the top 10 competitors on the men's kicking. We begin with the man they call Rabbit, Kendall Hutchings of the Sacramento Suns, a combined score of 112.9 meters. Just ahead of him from the Houston Lone Stars, Alex Azizi, and a mark of 114. Just ahead of him, the Sheik, Toby Simmons from the Sacramento Suns, 120 meters. Big Bad Daniel Brown of the Austin Crows, 131 meters, good enough for 7th. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, but this Spain fell in the 6th. Josh Spain of the Dallas Dingoes, 132.5. In 5th, his teammate, or his cross-state rival, Zachary Weichel of the Houston Lone Stars, 141 meters. Zach McKinney finished in 4th. He's from the Dallas Dingoes. He did really well in the goal-kicking competition a year ago, but only managed 4th with a score of 144.4. Now on to the top 3. Nope, Carrie Nolan went back 1 spot from last year, finishing in 3rd with 145 meters. The Sacramento Suns' Chris Gould finished in 2nd with 155, but our winner, John Hinchin of the Philadelphia Hawks, blowing everybody away, 173.6 meters combined, including his best kick, 59.4. Gould, by the way, had the second longest with 59. Congratulations to John Hinchin of the mighty Philadelphia Hawks. And now it's time for the AFL Women's Panel. And what we have here is a group of women who, in one way or another, are associated with the game of Aussie rules here in America and with the US AFL. We have Jessica Wueschner of the Brisbane Lions AFLW team, who actually spent a few months back in 2015 playing for the Boston Lady Demons. In fact, she went to Nationals in Austin that year and won the Paul Roos Medal for Best and Fairest in Women's Division II. Another woman who won the Paul Roos Medal in Division II, this time in 2018, was Dani Marshall, who of course has since gone on to play in AFLW, the first American woman to do so. She plays for the Western Bulldogs. Also joining us is a young lady who attended the 2018 Nationals in Racine, Wisconsin, right here. That is Sarah Perkins. And Sarah is a premiership winner with the Adelaide Crows and is currently on the list for the Gold Coast Suns. Another premiership winner joins us. us from that 2017 Adelaide Crow side, and that is Abbey Holmes, who now is a boundary rider for Channel 7, and you will see her not only this weekend, but next weekend in the grand final, the AFL Men's Grand Final. And finally, we'll be talking, Brad Johnson and I will be talking with Brooke Lochland, also from the Western Bulldogs. And in addition to talking about the game of women's footy, we'll be talking about the Xena Sport brand that Brad Johnson is involved with. So that'll be an interesting watch. So let's get it started. So in this group, we have a couple of women who have been to a US AFL Nationals before. And Dani Marshall, you actually made your Nationals debut 2 years ago in Racine, Wisconsin. And first of all, it was cold as heck. And having come from Arizona, I think it was like a 70-degree drop. But talk about that first weekend and your experience playing at Nationals.
Yeah, so luckily I'm from Colorado, so I knew what to bring. So I had long tights, long sleeves. I was definitely the most layered up person there. Yeah, but the first Nationals was amazing. It's the first time I had ever played like 18 on 18, kind of full-size fields, umpires, like full-on umpires. It was really, really cool.
And Perko, you were there too for the 2018 Nationals. I'm sure you never, in your wildest dreams, thought you'd be in Racine, Wisconsin, number one, and number two, you'd be there watching football. I'm interested to get your opinion of the weekend of the tournament, not only just as an Australian football fan, but seeing all of these women's teams and all of these women, most of them Americans, sinking their teeth into the game.
Yeah, I loved it. I was obviously on a month holiday trying to get away from sort of football and relax, but it was part of the deal that I got to go to all the other sporting tournaments or games in America. So I compromised and I came along to the Nationals, and I loved it. Obviously, there's a few Australians playing over there, but it just reminded me of an old school Nationals carnival that we would have had here for under 18 competitions or women's competitions. So yeah, I loved it, and it was awesome just to see everyone sort of coming together and the tight-knit groups, and yeah, watching the girls play obviously was also awesome too.
Hello, Wueschner. You actually traveled to the U.S. to play for the Boston Lady Demons for 3 months. Tell us about that whole experience.
It was pretty amazing. I can't really remember how I came across it. I think I knew someone who knew someone that was in touch with the US AFL, and I thought it would be a pretty awesome opportunity to, I guess, see a bit of the States as well, but also do something that I'm really passionate about. So it's something that I still think really fondly about.
Were you surprised once you got to Boston that there were these American girls that were so passionate about the game and their knowledge about the game?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really know what to expect, but there's one underlying factor when it comes to the US AFL Nationals and Aussie rules over here is just the passion and the love for the game and the want to be better. So it was quite surprising, but amazing to see.
Let's talk about the Nationals, because obviously, you know, last weekend we were supposed to be in Ontario, California, but you got the opportunity to play at the 2015 Nationals in Austin, Texas. And here you are on the other side of the world, 10,000 kilometers from home, and here are 5-6 Aussie rules ovals, and people are playing. What was that feeling like?
It was surreal. It was so weird because it didn't, like, before everything was put together, it just looked like a bunch of grass in the middle of nowhere. Like, it looked like, you know, somewhere where you'd go and play some soccer matches and stuff. But when it was all put together, it was just incredible to see how that could all come together. And there was just thousands of people there just for this one big weekend. It was like one big AFL party. It was amazing.
Now, there was a bit of a buzz about you being there because everybody knew at the time you had played for the Western Bulldogs in those series matches. Were a lot of people picking your brain? Were you picking everybody else's brain? What were the interactions like?
It was a bit of both. I think I was quite intrigued by people's stories as to how they got into AFL in the US, and then they were also quite intrigued as to how women's footy worked in Australia and if it was sort of on the up or bigger than the men or anything like that. So I think it went both ways, but certainly created a lot of friendships along the way, which was cool.
And I know in talking to the players immediately afterwards, the feedback that I got from them was that they learned a lot from you. What did you learn from them as part of this trip?
I just learned that at the end of the day, like, it's about having fun. And even though I personally think that I played terribly during the carnival and everything like that, I had the best time ever, and so did everyone else, no matter the skill level. So I think that I learned from them, it's not about, you know, being the best, it's just about enjoying it and having fun and doing what you love.
That's the most important part. Now, Abbey Holmes, you're very involved with footy in the Northern Territory, and we've seen a lot of Americans come through the NTFL. Of course, your friend and ours, Alex Arricchio. We've seen April Lewis from Seattle come through, Rosie Clow, more recently, Jess Blecker as well. I want to get your opinion about seeing these women from overseas, not just from the U.S., but from everywhere else, come and be involved, and also the Northern Territory Football League's role in advancing their football experience.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see, you know, women from all over the globe come to Australia and try and, you know, get drafted into the AFLW. It's, yeah, we're seeing so many girls from the US and Ireland and, you know, all around the place come over and give it a crack. But yeah, I first started playing footy competitively when I moved to Darwin in 2012. I'd played footy prior to that in school with 9-a-side and knockout competitions, but there was never that elite level to aspire to get to. So I continued to pursue netball. And then, yeah, when I moved to the Territory, I was blown away at how advanced, you know, they were with their competition up there. And, you know, that's just what all of the women did, was play netball for 6 months of the year, from April through September, and then footy from September through March. So I got involved with it there, and, yeah, through some of the men and women coming out from the US to try their hand in the NTFL, became obviously more aware about the US AFL, and I've been trying to get over there to the Nationals for the last 3 or 4 years, but I unfortunately haven't fitted in yet. But hopefully when we're able to, you know, travel again, I'll be able to go over there and check it all out.
Well, next year it'll be back in Ontario, California, so not too far away. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump across the Pacific. Abbey, you've had a pretty unique experience, because you are actually covering the AFL finals and the AFL season. Talk about that and your experiences, not only your experience in having to go back and being involved with these players who are in quarantine in this competition, which has been so unique and just unlike any other season that we've seen.
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy, hasn't it? A very, very difficult year for everyone involved. And, you know, I didn't see my partner for 2.5 or nearly 3 months. He was in a hub with the Hawks, but it was lucky. So when the second season, well, when it, I won't say shit hit the fan again the second time, but when the players went into their hub, I normally base myself in Melbourne during footy season. So when Keegs left, it was the case of me going, oh, do I get out of Melbourne and yeah, roll the dice there, or do I just stay here and wait it out? But we decided to get me out of Melbourne. I went and isolated for 14 days on our farm in country South Australia, which was lovely. I had 450 acres to isolate on, so that was great. And then, yeah, ever since my 14-day ISO period ended, I've been able to kind of travel that bubble between SA, NT, Queensland, that triangle. So I've been very lucky in that sense that I've still been able to travel for work and, you know, wherever Channel 7 have needed me in those, you know, 3 states and territories, I've been able to go. So, yeah, it's been pretty crazy, but I'm very grateful that I was able to continue to work and travel. And, yeah, Keegs is out of the bubble now. We actually had dinner with Mason Cox last night and his partner. So it was his first night out of the hub. So yeah, he really enjoyed a palmy and a beer, I think he had. So yeah, and we kind of just shared stories about how tough it's been for him and Keegs and everybody involved. So yeah.
I could go for a parmy and a beer, actually.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Now, the other thing that we've been asking the folks in this panel is about the women's game itself, and I guess where everybody is seeing it now. And I know there's a lot of challenges up and down the world of football, and you know, women's footy is no exception. Dani, I'd like to know, how are you preparing for this next season, and what's the attitude been like in not only in the Bulldogs camp, but among people that you're talking to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really hard. Everyone was really disappointed. Like, was the VFL going to happen? Was it not going to happen? You had to wait for so long for a final cancellation, and everyone was so excited, and it was just crazy. But I think it shows really well, like, how many girls still put their names in for the draft this year. I mean, to have 600 women, putting their name in for the draft is the most they've ever seen, which is amazing. So just obviously everyone's super excited to be involved in footy. I know there's girls at Abbers, like my local club, that keep training. I go out and kick with some of them when I can. And then for the AFLW, I know the teams have really tried to keep everyone in touch, WhatsApp, Facebook. A couple of the girls and I do stuff over just Zoom video. We go out and do skills together, and stuff like that. So we've definitely tried our best to like stay motivated and keep going. I know all the clubs, kind of like Perkins said, have helped out with like a running program and a lifting program if you have access to weights. So it's been difficult to stay motivated in some areas, but I guess absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I think everyone's just ready to get back out on the track for sure.
How about you, Perko? I know that, and especially again, you've been involved in getting ready for the season. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to be, I would say everyone's probably more mentally prepared for the season, obviously, with the especially in terms of the AFLW season being cut so short and girls wanting to finish the season and not play finals and having that taken away. I think girls are going to be super excited for that to get back, and it's been mentally challenging, I think, of the year of having to stay up to, stay in touch with your teammates, like Dani was saying, over Zoom and Skype and Facebook and WhatsApps, and trying to see people who are in a 5K bubble or, when you could travel, be socially distant. So it's definitely been a mental battle for sure, but I think everyone will be sort of tougher for it. And once girls start hitting the track, if they've been doing the work, you'll just see the game get better as we have seen it improve from year one to now.
Tell me about playing in AFLW and about being a part of this movement that really has captivated a lot of football fans, not only established fans, but also really brought a lot of people, especially women, into the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to be a part of something from the start, which is what a lot of us have been, and to see the growth from year one up to now has just been incredible. And you can see the change happening in people's opinions and thoughts towards women's football and just sport in general, especially over the last few years. And I can only speak for my mum, but she never watched AFL before, but AFLW brought her into the sport, and now she loves watching the men's just as much as she does the women's. So it's been amazing to see that we can bring people in that weren't really interested in AFL before, but now love it across both genders and both codes.
And what's interesting about the establishment of AFLW, it's given opportunities for women overseas. It's given them a structure as well. And of course, we're talking with Dani Marshall, and we're also seeing a number of Irish women come across. But not only that, but we are seeing Americans and Canadians and Britons come in and be involved in the structure at the state level. As somebody who has seen the game firsthand overseas, and as somebody who has played the game for so long, I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
It's amazing. I mean, you look at Australian football, and for so many years, it's been around for so long, it's been an Australian sport, and basically purely an Australian sport with not a lot of interest outside. And I think with the evolution of the women's game and the men's game getting out there a lot more as well, you're seeing a lot more interest in professional athletes, especially the women in different countries, because it brings such an opportunity to play at the highest level, which is obviously really exciting for us as a country, but as the code as well.
And Abbey, you have a very unique perspective because you are commentating on the matches as well, and you get to see all the teams and whatnot. I'm interested to get your perspective as well about especially heading into next year, where a lot of these women are going to be at the disadvantage of having been isolated for so long.
Yeah, I think it's been amazing to, yes, I'm kind of looking at it from the outside in at the moment, but to see the adaptability of the women and the way that they, you know, we've always done it ever since year one, but you just roll with the punches, do you? And don't you? And you just, you know, put in and do whatever you possibly can to make it work. And I think, you know, everybody's just been so impressive the way that they've just, you know, they're just rolling with it. They're taking it in their stride and they're making it work. So as Perko said, the AFLW has got better from year to year, and it's going to continue to get bigger, better, faster, stronger. And I don't think that they're going to let COVID get in their way. I think, you know, you trust the girls to go away, and they're doing their programs, both, you know, conditioning and strength. And, you know, we're going to see some of the best athletes in Australia and the world, you know, come and go head to head come February or whenever the season kicks off. But it is going to be interesting to see if there is any changes, or, you know, the league is forced to make any changes within that AFLW competition. I hope that that doesn't happen. But at this point in time, with where Victoria currently sits, and a lot of our clubs are based in that state, it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out over the next few months.
Yeah, we are too. And I know they had, it sounds like February 1st is going to be the start date, was what I heard last. So hopefully, you know, things will be improved, and there won't be much change. It'll be the normal system, the normal season, even if it means maybe being in a bubble like we've seen some of the sports here, where there's one or two bubbles throughout the country. I know that not an ideal situation because you're away from home, but if it means getting a season in, I imagine that there won't be too many complaints. But let's wrap this up, because I want to of course we have the AFL men's final series wrapping up, and we've got the preliminary finals that are already sort of happening. I want to get a grand final pick from everybody. And Dani Marshall, I know your Bulldogs men's side is not in it, but of this final four, who do you think is going to walk off with the title up at the Gabba?
My heart really, I'm just gonna back them. I'm just gonna back Port. They've been on top all year. They've found ways to win. I know it doesn't seem like it when you match them up with teams like Richmond and Geelong in some areas that they should take it, but I'm just gonna back them. I'm gonna keep Port on top.
Perko.
I think if the Lions can get the job done this week, a home grand final for them's something really special. So, yeah, my heart's set with the Lions, and yeah, look, I'll even give you another tip. I reckon if they get there, Charlie Cameron will have a field day.
Right, book it, as they say. And Abbey, you're going to be covering the matches. Tell me who you're tipping.
Yeah, I'm very excited. A couple of big prelims this weekend, obviously, but looking to next week, I'm with Perko. Obviously, 2020 has thrown a few spanners, and Queensland's the home of the AFL in 2020. So for that to be at the Gabba, I would love nothing more than to see the Lions be their grand final day. I think it will be a Brisbane Port Adelaide grand final, so no Victorian clubs, which is a bit controversial to say. But I do think Port Adelaide, I'm with Dani there. I think they've been the best side all year. They're playing an absolutely relentless brand of footy, and they're finishing inside 50. So, yeah, I think Port Adelaide are looking really good this year.
And I'll say the same thing I said in the men's panel, is that in the first round I went 0 for 4, so I just stopped tipping. Whoever, if you want me to tip against your team for them to win. Thank you so much for joining us at the US AFL Virtual Nationals and this AFL Women's panel, and all the best of luck, not only for the rest of this year, but next year and beyond. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Miss you guys.
Hello, Greg from Movember here, the leading charity dedicated specifically to men's health. I'd like to begin by thanking everyone within the US AFL community for your commitment and support of Movember. It's because of the incredible Mo Bros and Mo Sisters like you that we are able to continue to change the face of men's health. It's been a big year, one full of curveballs and challenges. And while a lot has changed, unfortunately, men's health is still in crisis, now heightened by the pressures of a pandemic that has turned into not only a global health crisis, but a social and economic one as well. In the US, 3 out of 4 suicides are men. 1 in 9 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and testicular cancer remains the leading cause of cancer among young men. Men need us now more than ever. Our work has never been more important or relevant. And with your support, we can continue to keep our foot on the gas and deliver innovative programs, tools, and initiatives that allow men to lead happier, healthier, and longer lives. We're thrilled to be once again collaborating with the US AFL, and we need your help. Grow a mustache, take on the Move Challenge by running or walking 60 miles, or host a virtual or small in-person event in support of Movember. Remember, however you mow, we'll save a bro. Thank you.
Hi, it's Hamish here, a member of the Austin Crows. I've been taking part in Movember over the last 10 years. Movember helps remind me that there's always support if we ever need it. And it reminds me that we don't always need to man up, and that there's no weakness in showing your emotions. It also gives an opportunity for your mates to have a bit of a giggle at whatever seedy fuzz appears on that upper lip during the month. So if your mow brightens someone's day, maybe that goes a long way in their mind. So come on, grow that mow.
Hi, Tara Silke here of the Denver Bulldogs. Did you know as mammals, women can also grow mustaches, but we usually choose to wax, bleach, or shave ours? Why? Because there's a stigma around hairy women. You know what else holds a stigma? Mental health, especially men's mental health, which is why I've partnered with the US AFL and Movember to help end negative stigmas. Oh wait, hold on. Maybe let's just focus on Movember and men's mental health. This thing is itchy.
Hey Mo Bros and Mo Sisters, Ben Altman from the Austin Crows telling you why I mow. 3 reasons. 1, because Movember stops men from dying too young from things like prostate and testicular cancer and the leading death among men in suicide. 2, because I represent the Austin Crows and I'm going to put us back on top of the leaderboard where we belong. And number 3, because the Mo just looks so damn sexy. So sign up today.
What's going on, US AFL 2019 Mo Challenge champion, Denver Bulldogs checking in with you, coming from beautiful Denver, Colorado. Be sure everybody sign up for Movember Challenge. This is an awesome charity that everybody should get around. For me, I'm a huge proponent of mental health and suicide prevention, so I'm going to be, trying to raise the big bucks for everybody this year. Make sure you go on Movember.com, get your profile set up, and start posting on social, start bugging people, everybody that you know, to donate to such a great cause, and start shaving those mows.
Thanks, Greg, and thanks to our Mo Champions from 2019 for your great inspirational words. I'm Dave Bryant. I'm heading up the Movember Challenge for the US AFL in 2020. The 2019 challenge was absolutely awesome. We had great response. We had 15 teams, almost 100 Mo Bro and Mo Sisters showing their stuff, as well, raising $19,000 or more for men's health programs that Movember supports, and that's an amazing effort. But most importantly, some of the awareness and visibility that we showed in our support for Movember was fantastic. So this year, we're going to have a fantastic campaign. We're going to elevate it to another level with more challenges and rivalries and really build that awareness even better. So what do you got to do now? Well, it's easy. Sign up at Movember.com, join your club's Movember team, and then join the Movember Challenge. 3 easy steps, super easy. Then we've got to hit the ground running. The Movember Challenge this year is going to have a lot of interest and exciting activities. We're going to have a Move Challenge. We're going to have a variety of different events that we're going to promote through the league and get your club involved. So get on board, sign up now, and be part of this challenge this year. So we have a special offer for you tonight. For everybody who signs up while the virtual national event right now is going on, you go into a prize draw for an awesome Movember merch pack. So sign up now, get on your phone, and register with Movember.com. We're really proud of the US AFL to be involved in the Movember campaign in 2020. It all starts November 1, so get online, sign up, and get involved. It's going to be a great campaign. Thanks a lot.
You know, I used to be able to do a push-up like that. The problem was trying to do a second one. That's usually where I ran into an issue. Well, that's why I'm not playing anymore in the US AFL and why I'm commentating. But we saw some pretty great athletic achievements here, and that's all part of the third and final event of the Virtual Nationals, Team Fitness. Now, this component has 4 rounds, and that is the 2-kilometer run, the push-up challenge, and then kicking and handball accuracy. Now, as many players from each team could compete in as many events as they want, but only the top 3 in each event would be considered. We average those, and whoever had the best average would score 10 points in the overall competition. The second place team would score 8 points, third place 6 points, and the fourth place team would score 4 points. The team with the most points at the end of all 4 events would be declared the winner. We'll start on the women's side with a Division I team. In fact, the semifinalists from a year ago in Sarasota, the Minnesota Freeze, and then 2 Division II sides, the semifinalists, Sacramento Lady Suns, and the Philadelphia Hawks, who are the defending D2 national champions. How will the D2 teams go up against the upper class of the Minnesota Freeze? We'll soon find out. The first event was the 2-kilometer run. A time of 10 minutes and 17 seconds on average was put in by the Philadelphia Hawks, led by Freedom player Leslie Gartner, with 8 minutes and 41 seconds. The Sacramento Lady Suns had a time of 9:02, led by Carolyn Sakara's 8:19 mark. But it was the Minnesota Freeze who were the fastest. Catherine Georgiadis, the longtime Freedom veteran, 7 minutes and 59 seconds, the fastest time of everybody, as the Freeze had an average mark of 8 minutes and 18 seconds. That gave them 10 points in the overall standings. Sacramento got 8 points for coming in second. Philadelphia got 6. Now to the push-up challenge. And the question was, how many push-ups could you do in 60 seconds? Again, we take the average of the best 3 from each team. For the Philadelphia Hawks, that was 29.3 push-ups. Again, Gartner leading the way with a total of 36. The Sacramento Lady Suns had an average of 35, led by Sequeira and by Christine Flock, who each had 36. But once again, it was the Minnesota Freeze who was much the best, as Kaya Saigula led everybody with 46 push-ups. Andrea Drahos had 40, and Connor Lewis had 38, a total average of 41.3. So another 10 points for the Minnesota Freeze, who went to 20. Sacramento gained another 8 to go to 16, while Philadelphia got another 6 to remain in third place on 12. To round 3 in kicking accuracy, and you saw there that basically they're just kicking into a square. They had 20 chances to do it, and whoever had the best average of the 3 players would be considered. The Philadelphia Hawks had an average of 4 again. Leslie Gartner showing her skill there and leading the way with 5. The Sacramento Lady Suns put up a mark of 6.7, led by Christine Flock, who kicked 12 out of a possible 20. Minnesota, however, could not catch up with the Suns. Coming in second place, Paige Thell had 7, Grace Cooper had 6, Renee Curtis had 5, but the Sacramento Lady Suns were able to score the 10 points for the victory. That brought the margin to within 2 points, the Freeze on 28 and the Suns on 26, with the Hawks trailing with 18. The Suns could win and Freeze come in second, then that would force a tiebreaker. But if the Suns win and the Hawks manage to beat the Freeze, the Suns would win outright. It all came down to handball accuracy. Again, a high score of 20 is possible. The Philadelphia Hawks had 9.7. This time they were led by their captain, Erica Sacchi, who had 13 out of a possible 20. The Sacramento Lady Suns, 12.7. Christine Flock, the best of them all, a perfect 20 from 20. Would that be enough? No, it wouldn't. The Minnesota Freeze, however, a little closer together and a little bit better. An average of 17.3. Grace Cooper had 18. Thell and Lewis had 17 each. So the final scores in the fitness challenge, the Minnesota Freeze came in first with 38 points, the Sacramento Lady Suns in second on 34, and the Philadelphia Hawks with 24. The Freeze have not won a national championship, but hopefully this will give them some solace and maybe a little boost ahead of Nationals in 2021. Congratulations to the Freeze. Now we head to the men. We had 4 combatants here. A Division I side, of course, the team that's won 5 of the last 7 men's Division I titles, the Austin Crows. And then 2 Division II sides, the Houston Lone Stars and the Philadelphia Hawks, and then the Division III Sacramento Suns. The Crows are the cock of the walk in terms of the men's competition over the last decade or so. But how would they do stacking up to these teams on an even field? We'll find that out now, beginning with the 2-kilometer run. The Philadelphia Hawks put in a time of 8 minutes and 13 seconds, led by the best time of them all in this competition, Chris Goff, the Revolution hopeful who plays ruck for the Hawks, 6 minutes and 47 seconds. The Sacramento Suns had a time of 7:47, led by Sean McEachern, 7:43, but a pretty consistent showing from the top 3 with Justin Lee and Facundo Lay turning in really good times close to McEachern's. The Houston Lone Stars, led by Dave Bryant, 7:10, posted a time 12 seconds better than the Suns. The Austin Crows, well, they were only good enough for third, but just barely. Daniel Brown, 7:27, led the way, but it was the Houston Lone Stars who would take full points here. The Suns in second, Austin third, and Philadelphia fourth. So at the end of one event, the Houston Lone Stars led, but how long would that last? We move to the push-up challenge. Again, who could do the most in 60 seconds? The Philadelphia Hawks put up a record of 44, led by little Danny Greenberg, 49 points. He's diminutive, he plays in the middle, but he's all heart and he's all strength. He led the way for Philly. Sacramento, 47.6. Again, McEachern leading his team with 50. How about Isaac Juarez with 49 coming in second? The Houston Lone Stars had a much better mark, though, 61.7, as Lamont had 75 there for the Houston Lone Stars. The man in James Lamont, 75, Dave Bryant with 58, Sean Smith with 52. And the Austin Crows, well, the best they could do was 46.3, led by a gigantic effort from Ben Martinez on 56. So once again, the Houston Lone Stars come in first. The Sacramento Suns were good enough for second. Again, the Crows in third, and the Hawks again in fourth. And so the scores just double after 2 rounds. The Houston Lone Stars had 20, the Sacramento Suns 16, the Austin Crows 12, and the Philadelphia Hawks 8. On to the kicking accuracy. The highest score is possible score here is 20. The Hawks struggled in this one with a total of 6.7, led by a joint effort of Jay Sacchi and Tristan Webster, who each had 7. And, of course, the accuracy champion, John Hinchin, could only manage 6 on this occasion. The Sacramento Suns did 9, and again it was Sean McEachern who led everybody with 10. Justin Lee had 9, and Toby Simmons had 8. The Lone Stars with a mark of 11.3, led by Zachary Weichels 13 and Adam Azizi's 12. And hey, Beardy got in on the act with a show of 9. Could Austin beat that? Nope. 9.3, led by Daniel Brown's 12. But again, the Crows come in second this time after finishing third 2 rounds in a row. The Lone Stars won for the third time, looking to make it a sweep in the 4th round. The Suns came in third, and then the Hawks. And the score at the end of 3 rounds, the Houston Lone Stars an almost unassailable lead with 30 points. The Suns in second with 22, then the Crows on 20, and the Philadelphia Hawks. Would it be a clean sweep for the Houston Lone Stars? That was the question. Handball accuracy, again, high score of 20 possible. And this time, Hinchin led the way for Philadelphia with a score of 14.7. Hinchin with 16. Webster and Greenberg each had 14. The Sacramento Suns, 18 out of a possible 20, and this time it was the Sheik. Toby Simmons on 19, Lay with 18, and Rabbit Hutchings with 17. Houston Lone Stars this time faltered, only 15.3 from the Stars. Glenn Wagner and Carrie Nolan each had 16. And the Austin Crows, well, this was their chance to sneak by, and instead they come in 4th out of the 4 teams. A consistent effort across the board, led by Daniel Brown's 14, but not enough. The Sacramento Suns get the win, but Houston wins overall. First place in this event to Sacramento, second to Houston, third to Philadelphia, and 4th to those Division I defending champion Austin Crows. The final standings, however, show the Houston Lone Stars as the team fitness champions for 2020 with a total of 38 points. Sacramento Suns 32, Austin Crows came in third with 24, and a game Philadelphia Hawks side came in 4th with 18. Thank you to everybody who competed and who sent in videos. This was all a lot of fun.
Welcome. My name's Jamie Hepner, and I work with Catapult Sports over here in the US and have a background in coaching and development in the AFL for a number of years, and very excited for the opportunity to talk to what is essentially, let's be honest, the pin-up boy for the US AFL and our most proud export here, Mason Cox. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For everyone listening on the webcast or whatever it is, Mason and I are going to go through, what would be a pseudo watered down kind of video review of a smaller portion of some plays from the illustrious, the famous, the 2018 preliminary final. It was a bit short-winded to get the game from last week. Would have been outstanding, where I think, you dominated just as well, if not more, in a closer game. But this is the one we kind of got our hands on. And the idea is to give a bit of an insight to those listening in, to kind of how you get to a piece. It's not just running around, objectively on the field. There's a lot that goes into kind of positioning and setups and I guess the ramp up from you, coming straight into the AFL, of that kind of steep learning curve of how, I guess, intellectual, random and chaotic the AFL is. But also for the people, in US AFL, haven't been involved for a few years now. I really see this as a piece where guys can take their game next level, or, a step up is the positioning and teams structuring up or running to positions when you're not going to get the footy, or you're 2 steps ahead, 2 kicks ahead, that sort of stuff. So I can see the big guy. So what we want to talk about here is your positioning and what led up to the mark and how you read it. I think one of the biggest things, and I talked to a lot of, USAFL guys or guys, played with and coached with. A lot of guys can work really hard and get the conditioning and get the skill level as good as a lot of Aussies over here at the AFL level. But the common comment is often the read of the game, right? Like, it gets thrown around. Let's watch this and I guess talk us through, how you read the game, or, how you got to the position that you got in to mark that ball. I just want to talk about what led to it. So you're obviously coming down through the middle. DeGoey was one out of the square. Okay, there's a kick into him. This Tigers player with the blue, I can't see who that is. He's obviously going to make it a 2-on-1, which makes your guy, the guy covering you, Basher Hooley, have to come in and cover this guy.
Yeah, well, I think with me here, so as soon as we see that, so you'll see, assuming Will Hoskin Elliott will come and his man's gone, and we'll kind of make our way over there. But we'll take a one-on-one with Will at the back. So we don't mind if Will wants to keep going there and drag his player out of the contest. As long as his player goes with him, we don't mind that, because we'll take the numbers of the contest. And if we do have to quick kick to the top of the goal scorer, we'd much rather kick it there than anywhere else on the field, because we're going to gain territory from that. So I think with Jordy, we leave that space for him to hit up. So Jordy will play deep. Jordy will play very deep, because we back ourselves in to be able to kind of hit him on the lead, to be able for him to take a contested mark and get off his man. And then from there, if he needs to, what he always usually does is he rolls. And then what will happen is that, since we've left that side of the ground empty for him to lead up to, the other players, which is myself and Will in this one, we'll kind of move our way back to the goal square. So whenever he marks that ball, he has all that space for us to hit back up into. So it's essentially kind of a whirlpool of people hitting up, and then a person lengthening back to where he'd just come from. And then he'd do it again. And then as soon as that guy hits up, the guy behind him does the same thing, and just keeps creating that whirlpool space. So then it's not sitting there and everyone's just stagnant, just waiting for a ball to get kicked in. It's everyone's moving to space left and right. The defenders are trying to figure out who they're going to, try to switch on, or whoever it may be. But in this scenario, it's essentially to go, he's gone. We've trusted him to be able to get that done. So we've said, okay, well, let's keep taking this space. Let's keep taking that space so then we can have space in front of us to come back at the ball. So let's keep going. Let's keep going forward. Let's keep going forward. And there is a bit of a magic kind of point where you don't want to go too far back, because if your man just peels off, and then if, let's say, you lose that contest and your man just goes out the wing, and then all of a sudden he's, out the other side, you don't want that. You have to be accountable to your man at the same time. So you kind of have to read what your guy's doing, but also try to make him, or hold him to account as to what you're doing. And you'll see here, me and Will, as soon as that ball goes to Jordy, we're essentially going, all right, straight back to goal. Like, let's take that space that Jordy's just gone out of, and let's try to take that space, and then we'll be able to hit back up. So if he does mark that, he's got an option going forward right away. So that's essentially what we're doing in this one. And the way, if you play through this a little bit, keep going forward here. So you see Jordy's got that space to hit up into, and you'll see kind of our guys coming. Well, the three guys in the middle kind of trying to match the Richmond guys coming, and then our winger coming also to try to make that an even contest. And then you'll see me and Will just essentially saying, okay, let's just keep going forward, let's keep taking that space to make sure that we've got as many guys close to the ball and in between ourselves and our goals.
Yeah.
And if you keep playing through here, you'll see Jordy, I think he takes a mark with this when he goes in front of him, but he keeps chasing after it, keeps making that an even contest, gets the tap there, and you'll see me, as soon as I realized he got the ball, I was like, all right, cool, space is out the back, let's go. And I'm pointing, I'm saying, kick the ball as far as you can, because there's no one back there. It's essentially, you're looking at Basher Hooley, he's looking at the ball, and if I can sit there and have my defender in front of me and the ball coming over the top, I can see everything that's going on. Where Basher Hooley's going, I've got to either decide to look at the ball or I've got to decide to look at the man. So he's at a disadvantage there, where I can sit there and either slip him or I can body him early or whatever it is, because I can see both of those at the same angle in front of me. So there, I'm just saying, I think it might be Adam Troy or someone that's kicking it in. I'm just saying, kick it over the back, because Will's created that space out the back for me to be able to lead into. So we've all kind of separated ourselves evenly in that forward 50, to the point where if that ball gets kicked in, it's not going to be everyone just going and bashing and everyone's man coming off and someone's going to try to hold someone else. It's, okay, we all have our space that we can lead into to be able to be a legitimate option going forward.
And that's, I think, a big, point in the USAFL of where guys can develop is, okay, if your man leaves you or you find yourself with this quick play coming into the forward 50, if you're not going to be the target, or there's a lot of pieces in here, as you can see, one of your teammates here holds his opponent out. He doesn't come in to leave the space for you, exactly as you were talking about. But also, if we go,
we would never want to be within 10 meters of each other,
right?
Unless the ball's on the ground, really. But like, if you're sitting there trying to lead in the space, you don't want to be standing next to each other. Like in that one, I'm essentially getting out of the way so Jordy can lead up, because I know he's going to be that next kick. So we are pretty close. But in the next one, you'll see Will kind of goes over and he goes, I'm going to go fully here because I see the extras there. I'm going to match that to make sure they don't have a handball out the back. And as soon as Will's gone, I'll go, okay, well, if he's going out that way to go skinny, is what we say, or like ball side, I've got to get my length, because now there's no one that's on that fat side taking that space to the goal square. So now I've got to be that option that goes there.
Dangerous.
And then we've also, I think it's got Tom Phillips on one side. If you look at in between the goals at the umpire, our wing's coming too. So our wing's going, okay, well, sometimes we'll get our wing out the back because let's say they've over committed forward and our wing's just gone, all right, stuff it. I've got this whole side of the field where no one's here. If we can get one change angles to the middle, I'll have this whole side of the field to myself, and I can go run as far as I want. So that's another option where we really try to push our wing forward so he can get that opportunity to maybe get that one where it's a bit slower, a bit quick, whatever it might be, and his defenders come way too close to the ball, and he's just taking off without him even knowing. He's just sitting out the back, taking an uncontested mark in the goal square.
Yeah. That's kind of drawn to the end. That is outstanding, and thank you very much for taking the time. I know it's an awkward time of the year, just finishing your last game, and there's lots going on, and COVID and Queensland and all those things. But very, very impressive how you've kind of got to this point and come from where a lot of these guys are watching this video to a full-scale, professional Australian footballer, tearing games like this to shreds. And everyone certainly in the audience of this call, this webinar, very, very proud of what you've done, and your name gets mentioned plenty and an inspiration to many. So I really appreciate your time, mate, and outstanding insight that you could give us.
Yeah, I appreciate the support, everyone back home. I know it's crazy times, everything going on, but I know obviously it's not ideal to not be able to be playing this time of year. I always enjoy getting back and seeing everyone's faces this time of year in October. Once I finish up, it works so well with the timing of my season to kind of go into nationals. And it's always a great time, and whether it be having beers after the whole thing's done or just going out and watching all the different games and having the family and stuff involved and all that jazz. It's been awesome support from the US AFL and everyone involved and all the kind messages throughout the year. So unfortunately, it's not meant to be this year from a playing standpoint, but hopefully we can come out the other end and come out better for it, and hopefully next year we'll be in a bit of a different circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for your time, mate. Look forward to seeing it next year's Nationals, and we'll be watching with great interest.
Too easy. Thanks for having me, brother.
Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.
And Brooke Lochland of the Western Bulldogs AFLW side. Brooke, you are a teammate of Dani Marshall, the first American to play in AFLW, and you're the first US AFL graduate to play in AFLW. And I'm interested to kind of get your, having played the game of Australian football, having played this game since a young age, what's it like seeing women such as Dani come over from different countries, and you play alongside Irish women as well, take up this game and be passionate about it and play at such a high level?
Yeah, we love having Dani. She's a great character, and what she's been able to do in such a short time is pretty incredible. Coming from a different sport, obviously she played soccer, as well as the Irish girls. The way they've been able to pick up the game so quickly has been really, as I said, incredible, and they just bring a different energy to the group. So these girls, you find that have been in different sports at elite level. They know how to train hard, they know how to set the standard, and they know how to work hard, and they want to be the best athletes they can be. And it really pushes us girls who have been in the system for a long time. And yeah, I've really enjoyed training and playing with Dani, and I feel like she's only just getting started, and hopefully she has a really long career left at the Bulldogs.
Brooke, how does she go with the Aussie slang? How did that work out straight away?
Yeah, we're trying to teach her the Aussie slang, so we kind of try and get her to say a few words here and there. But it's quite funny when the Americans try our slang, that's for sure.
Has she talked much about footy here in the States? Because she had come up playing through the Arizona Hawks and whatnot. Has she talked much about it? Have you been asking any questions about the structure here and whatnot?
We've spoken a little bit about it. I think obviously the level's a bit different there, so it probably took her a little bit to adjust to our level. But as I said before, I think she's absolutely flying, and it's scary how far she's come in 1 year or 2 years. And just with her work ethic and dedication, and not only that, these girls that are moving from the other side of the world is real dedication, especially with this year that's just happened. The money obviously isn't great, I guess, at the moment for AFLW. So it's really nice to see them moving their life as such over to Australia.
I know that you do a lot of work with Brad for Xena Sport. If you want to talk about that, because I know it's a lot. You guys do a lot of really good work.
Yeah, so I'm really grateful that Brad is actually a mentor of mine. So we catch up quite frequently over Zoom at the moment. But yeah, Brad helps me with leadership and business, and I've learnt so much from him so far. So I'm really grateful for that. In terms of Xena, I think what Brad and Donna have done is a real game changer, and something that we probably would have wanted many years ago. But this is obviously much more than just a business for them, and they're really passionate about helping women in sport, and obviously Brad has said that AFL is obviously their background, but there's so many other sports that have come into wanting the product now, and it's surprising kind of hearing the sports that have come into it. Roller derby, I used to do speed skating, and I wouldn't even have thought of it, but it makes so much sense that these sports are wanting these garments. And I just think that it's a conversation that probably needs to happen, and this is really starting it off. You get hit and you're probably a little bit sore, but it's not something that girls normally talk about. So it's getting the conversation started, and I couldn't recommend these garments anymore. So I've actually I've got mine. I haven't been able to try it on yet, unfortunately, with the restrictions this year, but I'm so excited to try it. I've heard really good feedback from some of the girls who have used it. A teammate of mine, Kirsty Lambs, used it for the last couple of years, and she said how great it is. And it's a great fit. You don't feel like it's on, and it's just crucial for the development of these young girls coming into contact sports.
It's not bad, is it, Brian? The fact Brooke that's why we got her on board, is because look at the way she pumps it up. She's passionate about it.
She's a natural. She really is.
We love it. You can see the quality though, and that's the best thing. That's what we love about Brooke, and how passionate she's about the game and about being better and being the best person that she can be as well. And it's awesome that we've got these great ambassadors that jump on board and help us spread the word around our Xena vest, and it does protect the breast and ribs. And we know in footy it's full on. You open yourself up, for a mark or to cop a tackle or to lay a tackle and all those sort of things. So yeah, we are pretty passionate about it. And we think it's got a really good place in not only the footy world, but so many other sports, as Brooke said, in terms of some sports we didn't even think, including American football, where we've got a lot of girls that will wear it underneath the bigger type padding just for a bit of comfort. As well, and hockey and soccer and all these other lacrosse as well, all these other major sports that are wearing it at the minute. So it's been good fun getting it to this point. So we love all the support we get.
Brooke, do you mind holding the garment up again so we can get a good look at it?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's easy to talk about it when it's such a good product, Brad. So there
we go.
The back. There you go.
Nice. And I know that especially we have a lot of, with the women's program growing in the US AFL as well. I know that they play their footy hard here, as I'm sure Dani has relayed the stories as well. So I think that would be, fantastic accoutrement to the footy uniform here in the States. Brady, you got anything else, mate?
Oh, look, it's really light. You wear it over your normal crop top or bra, so it's really light and only weighs 160 grams. So I'm sure we can work something out, Brian. If all the girls want to contact yourself and Doran and get in touch, I'm sure we'll work through that. But no, Brooke's spot on. It's about the girls want to get out there and play well, recover well, and so they can get out there and go again. And that's our biggest thing, is we want as many people playing our game as possible. Playing it in the right way, as you said, have a crack. That's what it is. It's a contest game, but also coming out the other end of it, feeling really good about yourself and your body's feeling good, so you're ready to go again. And that's what we're trying to create here with the vest to help with the knocks, yes, and it does absorb some really good impact, but also enable everyone to just get out there and play and enjoy the game. Everyone's at different levels, and it just allows everyone to play to their best. So that's what it's mainly about for us.
Absolutely. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us here as part of the US AFL Virtual Nationals. Best of luck to you next year and beyond.
Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It has been said before, but it bears repeating. The US AFL is more than just a sporting community. It is a family. And as we wrap up this difficult year of 2020, we want to stop, reflect, and remember on those we lost this year. Pat Builder, off the field, was a well-written biochemist and professor. On it, he was a talented player and an even better teammate. He began his career with the Baton Rouge Tigers before moving on to the New York Magpies, helping them to win 2 Division I national titles in 2010 and 2014. Upon moving to Florida, he brought his competitive spirit and kind heart to the new Tampa Bay Tiger Sharks club. A teacher, traveler, and always looking to learn, Lauren Rice served as secretary of the Des Moines Roosters Football Club for 2 seasons. Lauren worked tirelessly behind the scenes to help with the operations of the club, including the ever-expanding women's team led by her sister Emily. Lauren was awarded Club Person of the Year for her efforts and was a truly beloved member of the Red and Black. An all-rounder in every sense of the word, Jacinda Barclay represented Australia in baseball and played gridiron football in the Legends Football League. And while playing gridiron in Chicago, she began training with the Chicago Swans, beginning an association with the US AFL. After being drafted by the GWS Giants of AFLW, she became a mentor to the USA Freedom women's team at the 2017 AFL International Cup, and later helped organize the Aussie Sparks Tour, allowing young women to travel to the US AFL Nationals and compete against American women. Jacob Ryan made the most of what was given him. A survivor of the 2002 Bali attack, Jake played football in his native Queensland and coached within the Gold Coast Suns Academy before moving to the States. He played just 4 years in the US AFL, but managed to make it to the Division I Grand Final each season, winning 2 titles and taking home the Paul Roos Medal for Best and Fairest in 2017. He lent his coaching expertise to the next generation of Americans willing to learn the coaching craft as a member of the US AFL Coaching Accreditation Panel. And last but not least, Alex Arricchio. Rooch, as he was known, fell in love with Aussie rules after being invited to an AFL talent combine in Los Angeles. After leading his hometown New York Magpies to the 2014 Division I men's title, he followed his passion and his dreams to Australia, where he played footy in 4 states in the Northern Territory, making many friends along the way. His game was big, but his heart was bigger. Here now is a video tribute to Alex Arricchio.
Old Alex Arricchio, the great man Rooch. We first met, actually, he's kind of one of the first people that taught me a bit about AFL. He's actually at the US Combine. I first initially learned what the sport was at, and I think he was about the only person that I'd ever even heard of AFL that was there, and was showing everyone how to do handballs and kicks and everything else. And as per everyone kind of knows with his character, he was always more than willing to help others out and bring other people into it. So that was the first time I met him. From there, we played at the MCG against each other, and we was playing for Carlton's VFL team, and I was playing at Collingwood's VFL team. We got to face off each other in front of the hollow ground of the MCG, and we've just been friends ever since. From him coming up to Southport, us doing kind of conditioning camps up here, we'd run into each other and just catch up and see how everything's been, and constant communication of just phone calls every month or so just to check in. He was an absolute legend. He's a guy that lived life large. He made the most of every single second he was here, and it's a credit to him. It's something I've always admired. It's something that, you look at him, you think he just breeds positivity, and he breeds positivity not only from himself, but he brings everyone else in, and he makes everyone else's day better. I don't think I would have ever known a day where he was upset, ever looked down or said pity me or anything like that. He was a man that made the best of every situation, and no matter how many cards were stacked against him, he always had a smile on his face, and always made everyone's lives around him better. So I know just before he passed, maybe a week or two before, he was up in Darwin doing some crazy hunting stuff with buffalo and all these other things, from helicopters flying in. He said, "Man, you got to get up here. It's insane. These people are crazy, like, I can't wait. Well, if you get up here whenever the season finishes." And it's just a testament. He would have came from New Jersey in New York area, and all of a sudden he's in Darwin hunting buffalo. He's just he's had an epic life. He's lived it to the fullest. There's no doubt about that. And it's a credit to him, man. He's missed every single day. Think about it every single day, and he was always a massive person you look to and say, you know what, if this guy's, able to be this happy going through everything that he's been able to go through, it's pretty easy for me, and I should definitely kind of take after him. So a bit of a role model throughout my career and throughout my life since I've met him. And he's a great fella.
Hi everybody, I'm Lou Riccio. I'm the father of Alexander Riccio, who you knew very well. And you knew him very well as a footy player, a very successful footy player. Started with the New York Magpies, got really engaged and excited about the sport of Australian football, and went on to Australia and had a very successful career there, going to Melbourne, going to Adelaide, on to Southport, and then of course to Darwin. What many of you don't know is, as a young child, although he was always competitive, his fearlessness and his aggressiveness as a player began during his sophomore year of high school. As a sophomore, playing varsity soccer in the goalkeeper role, he was playing against a fiercely competitive local high school with a rivalry that dates back for years. And this rivalry, was built up as kind of the game of the season. And during the course of the game, Alexander took a knee to the head as he was going for a ball, and basically was knocked out for a moment. He was laying there. People ran to his attention. We walked out onto the field, and I basically looked at him and said, "Alexander, get up." Alexander got up. He went back in the goal with enthusiasm and went on to win the game 2-1, raising the level of play for the high school team, raising the significance of the high school team's competitiveness. And from there and on, he went on to become an All-American soccer player, which led him to Columbia University, which led him to be 4 years of starting every game for Columbia as a goalkeeper, and then of course onto the Magpies. I wanted to tell you this story because to me that's a turning point in Alexander's career, and I think it is significant in how fearless a competitor he became. We all miss him, we all loved him, we all will remember him for a long time. But always remember in your heart his fearlessness, competitiveness, and his inspiration to lead us all to victory. Continue to go out there and play hard, continue to win, and continue to play with fearless aggressiveness, because that's what Alexander would have wanted. That's what Alexander stood for, and that's what Alexander will be remembered for. He was a true competitor, a true leader, and we love him very much and will miss him very much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you, and great success with your season and with your organization going forward. Thank you.
And that's just about going to do it for us at the 2020 USAFL Virtual Nationals. I want to thank the board of the USAFL for their assistance in putting this together, the hard work of Executive Director Doran James, as well as Dave Bryant and Sonia Lavelle in helping us put together what we hope has filled that little hole in your heart that has been left by not being in person at the USAFL Nationals. To all of our players, our fans, our friends, our members, coaches, umpires, everybody in the USAFL community, old fans and new, it doesn't matter whether you've been following Aussie Rules football for a couple of weeks or following it for all your life. We appreciate you, and we know that we will bounce back next year in 2021, and hopefully we will see you all at the USAFL Nationals in Ontario, California next October. I know I will. Until then, my name is Brian Barrish. I will talk at you next time, whenever that will be. Have a great rest of your year, and I'll see you in 2021.